Hi everyone, it's Elaine here. I am here today with Q as well as Chris, aka Manila Killa. So super excited to have you here today. How's it going? How's your new year so far?
New Year's is great. It's been busy. I thought that after I played my show at Countdown, I thought I'd have some time to relax, but literally like 2 days after New Year's, it was just back to the grind, just working on
Mm,
new music and figuring out the rest of the year for the shows and stuff.
mm.
Yeah.
Amazing. Q was at your countdown set, so he had nothing but great things to say.
Yeah, that was so much
Yeah.
fun.
I was really happy that you posted your set yesterday. I was listening to it again. It was, yeah, amazing, dude.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah. I was like editing that video like on the plane because I visited my parents in Virginia, and
Mm,
my manager was just like, "We got to get that set up," and I was just like on the plane, just getting it done. But yeah, I'm glad I dropped it. So
mm. Yeah, I really love the flow and like it was a good mix of like you do amazing melodic stuff, but it had a lot of pumping songs and dude, fire mashups, man. I
thank you. Honestly, yeah, half of that was like MYRNE. He just comes up with these crazy edits, and I'm just like, yeah, let's run it, let's run it. So much
We
fun.
sat down with him last week too. So Julie sat down with him last week to do like another interview too. So yeah,
Cool.
it's really cool to see you guys do like a back to back to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us how you felt at your set. How's the crowd? How's you feeling?
Honestly, okay, so we were playing, I think our set time was like 5:40 p.m., which is a little early for especially for New Year's Eve. And so I was telling before the set, I was telling Mern, I was like, don't worry if there's not a lot of people there. Like I think it'll flow. I think people will show up as we play. But when we stepped on stage, I looked out and I was like, oh my God, there's a lot of people here. And honestly, that just made me even more excited because I think the last time I had DJ'd with Mern when we went back to back was like 2000, I think 17 in Miami for
Wow,
some like
a long time ago.
yeah, like it was like a random after party with brownies and lemonade. And so I was, from then on we had worked on music together over the years and I was just like so happy that we could finally play together like a proper set. And I think it went really well. I was like watching back the footage and Mern is just like having the best time of his life. He's just like cheesing so hard the entire time, like dancing. And it was just like cool to see that part of him because usually he would come to the States and we just like work on music. So we never had a chance to like go out and, enjoy ourselves. So it was really cool to see him just enjoy himself in the States.
Mm. And countdown, it's a special moment for a lot of us. We'd like to, spend it with people you love. And if you were to pick just one from the set, which will be the most personal one for you?
For the songs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's that John Summit Reload mashup.
Ah, I
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah.
Why is it gonna take you back to like a certain like
Yeah,
era plus like John Summit?
absolutely. Yeah, I love the fact that like that mashup was actually made by a Singaporean DJ, which is also like a cool connection with Mern. But yeah, the reason why I love that mashup is because yeah, it involves elements from the music I love today, like big fan of John Summit, and then Reload is such a classic song. And I remember like a week before the show, I was telling Mern, I was like, I think I want to play Reload. I just like for some reason I just really wanted to play it. Like I had rediscovered it a couple weeks ago and I was like, damn, like I don't know if we should play it. I don't know if it's like too aggressive, but when we were up there on stage, it was like the perfect time. I was like, we're gonna do it.
It's never
Mm.
too aggressive for reload.
Very true, very true.
Our inner like rave child like always comes out.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, like
everyone starts singing. You like can't not sing to it.
yeah, exactly. Like I feel like I'm kind of reconnecting with the music that really excited me when I was starting to get into this type of music. And it was like literally like around 10, even 11, 12 years ago is when I was listening to a lot of that kind of music. So it's
Mm.
cool to see that, it still sounds really good. Like I think
Mm.
it aged really well and I'm glad people still enjoy that kind of music.
Yeah. So like on that topic, let's kind of take it back. Like what originally inspired you to pursue music and become an artist?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I never really pursued becoming an artist. It was never really like in my cards, I guess. I grew up in like pretty traditional Filipino family. So
All three of
the
us have Asian on here.
yeah, I mean,
We
you
all
guys
have a
already
similar
know.
story in like different ways, actually. But
Yeah,
yeah.
you guys just know exactly what I'm gonna say. So yeah, like just growing up, my parents were kind of like, finish school, you can do music on the side as a hobby, whatever. But yeah, graduate, get a degree, and then just get a job. And that's kind of that's what I was like doing at the time. I was in school when like my career started like taking off, and I would say it was an accident. Like I never really expected anything to come from it. All I knew is that I just loved making music and I wanted other people to just experience what I was experiencing when I was making that music. So yeah, more and more I would just put music out, and then I think it was around like 2013 or 2014 was when I think I started getting noticed by like other producers and other people outside of like my friend circle. And then it was kind of just like a snowball effect, just one day I started just playing random shows. I actually started playing frat parties when I was in school. And that was yeah, that was
Oh,
like my first taste of like DJing and like understanding what people want to hear. And I just loved it so much that I would just try to find any way I could play music. And so yeah, eventually like my songs just started catching fire, and then I had like Brett, who's my manager, approach me to manage me, and then eventually an agent, and then it was just went crazy from there. And then I eventually did finish school up, so I got my degree. It was like a deal I made with my parents. They were like, if you finish school with if you finish school, you get your degree and finish on the dean's list, then we'll allow you to try music out for like a year.
Mm.
So yeah, as soon as I finished school, I just went all the way in, and then just yeah, the rest is history.
are
Mm.
they happy about it now?
Yes,
I gotta
they're
ask, right? Like you gotta ask, because some days they're like, oh, like the cookies
yeah,
out,
no,
right? For a while.
yeah, definitely. I mean, at first when I broke the news to them that I kind of wanted to try music out, it felt like I was talking to a wall. It's
Mm.
they just like they didn't really understand it, they weren't really on the internet like I was. They didn't understand that you could, become an artist and do this for a living just from interacting with people online. So it was kind of tough. I had to sort of just like be very transparent with what I was doing, with who I was working with, like what publications are covering my music, et cetera, et cetera. So it was like a long journey, but eventually, yeah, they came around, and like they're like my biggest fans now. Like they can't stop talking
Mm.
about me to like my other relatives.
That's
Like
all.
yeah, like I was just visiting them in Virginia, and on the dinner table with my other relatives, they're like asking me questions and stuff. And it's a little like embarrassing at times.
Like, hey, this Insomniac Festival, like my son, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're always asking like, "Oh, what shows do you have coming up? Can we see videos? Can you send me videos and stuff?"
Aw.
So I'm really glad that they're really supportive now.
Mm.
yeah. The Q recently played at like Academy, and his parents are like, super Korean. So they were like, no. And then they came and they were like, wow, like there's so many people dancing, and they're just like there in the back table, like just kind of
Yeah.
Yeah, I went through the same route of like, hey, you gotta go, finish school and do work, and
Mhm.
that was the moment where like, oh, maybe you might keep going.
Yeah, I think the key behind getting your parents behind you is just really showing them what you do. Like
Mm.
bringing like taking them to shows and stuff. That's when I think they'll truly understand what you're doing.
Okay. So we are Neon Owl and we exist as a community to support artists and especially those who are up and coming. And I think it'll be very inspiring for them to know you shared how you got started, but if you could share some experiences of overcoming those early on challenges, like getting your first song signed. I know you had Moving Castle. So would you have like or resolving conflicts with your parents if you had any? Would you mind taking us back to when it was challenging, when it was in the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like communication really is the most important thing when it comes to stuff like this, especially when you're trying to get the support from your parents. They just want to know what you're doing, they're just looking out for you. And especially if you approach them with like, hey, I want to be a DJ, I want to be an entertainer, that most parents would be like,
Worst nightmare.
Absolutely not. Yeah, worst nightmare. Literally worst nightmare. Because my mom was in the entertainment business when she was younger. I believe she was
Mm,
like a host or something. You know, she would host pageants and stuff like in the Philippines. And I don't think she never really opened up to me about why she got out of it. All I know is that when she heard that I wanted to get into the entertainment business, she was like, no, you know?
mm,
So I think it's just really about communication, just being open with your parents. And it might be difficult, but you just have to do it. It's just something you have to do, and it might be painful at times. Um, I remember like, yeah, one time like I wasn't doing so well in school. And so my parents viewed the music thing as like, oh, that's the reason why you're not doing well. But
mm,
I was trying to have open conversations with them and explaining to them like the reason why I'm lacking in school is because this something is happening with the music stuff. And so they would come to me and be like, well, what's happening? And I would literally explain to them like, this is my manager. This is exactly what he's doing. I brought my parents to meet my manager for like a sit down lunch so that if they had any questions, you know, they could just ask him directly instead of kind of like, yeah, they're like, they don't know who this manager is. They've never met them. So I think just
Calculating
like,
all sorts of stuff.
yeah, exactly. So I think just like bringing them into your world is like the most important thing, especially when you're going through tough times of trying to convince them that what you're doing is something you're truly passionate about.
mm.
What
Yeah.
about outside of like your family, like musically? I'm sure you've been doing this for a while. I'm sure there's also been some hurdles. What have some of those been?
Yeah, I mean, like there was a time where I was going to school in Northern Virginia, and that's right next to Washington, D.C. So I was trying to reach out to clubs and stuff so that I can play there. And I remember one incident where I played a couple nights for this club, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, come back to get your money on like this day." And then I feel like you guys know where this is going. Like I'd be
Oh
like,
God. Ah!
I'd be like, okay, hey, I'm here. I'm at the club. Like, where are you at? And they'd be like, oh, we're not there right now. And then that just kept happening. And so there were times where like I wouldn't even get paid for my work. And I feel like that it really like, I don't know, it kind of messed with with how I viewed myself. Like I kind of felt like, oh, I'm not worthy of like doing this. But like I don't know, my love for music just overcame that really. Like if it's something you're truly passionate about, I feel like you're gonna figure out a way, you
Mm,
know. And I never thought of giving it up because at the end of the day it was just a hobby. So I think that something important to keep in mind if you are pursuing something like this is just remember like why you're doing it, because it's very easy to get caught up with like numbers and like trying to stream and trying to go viral and all that. And then it does suck like when you don't see the results that you're expecting. But
mm,
you always just have to think about like why you're doing it. And for me,
mm,
it's because I love making music and I love performing. And you know, if I'm performing for 10 people in the crowd, like I'm still gonna love it because like I get to hear my music on big speakers. Like what more do I want? Like that's all I've ever wanted. So
mm,
yeah, just keeping that in mind is really important.
mm. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people will have that very helpful because a lot of people, I mean, at least some of them choose music because they don't like something, but knowing that you have to do it for the love of music should be, yeah, good advice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Mm,
it's really easy to get caught up in like doing something because it's cool or because people like
mm,
think it's cool. But like if you're really in it because you love it,
mm,
I firmly believe that you'll find your way.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that. And hey, I've been listening to you since All That's Left,
Oh
since
wow.
one of my friends played it out of their home and I Shazammed it, and it really affected me as a musician too. But
Mhm.
what I really enjoy is seeing how your sound is evolving, like from your those early on days, like your radio friendly melodic vibey songs to your progressive side of things and your some of the songs in Dusk. I feel like it's really resonating with me like emotionally, and you're doing like ABGT guest mixes,
Yeah.
and I started hearing like a lot of darker sounds, like your recent collab with Lenny, like she's a friend of ours,
Yeah.
and your Heaven's Gate remix, which was a very happy surprise to me because it's really rare to see a musician who like releases various genres of music as freely as you do. So, could you walk us through how your taste in music has changed over your career?
Yeah.
And have you had any thoughts of staying in one genre for branding purposes, or
Mm.
were you just trying to do whatever you like to do?
Yeah, it's great you brought that up because I actually like more it's been more recently in the last few years where I've kind of struggled with should I just stick to one genre or should I just release everything like freely because there's like two sides of that. Like releasing just one genre makes you marketable. You know, it people understand exactly what to expect from your sound. Um, but like releasing freely, like with whatever genre you want, is also there's also like I I guess like a negative side to that too, because you end up confusing people. But you know, honestly, after like battling with myself over that, it happened a lot over COVID too. Like I had a lot of
Mm,
introspection and trying to figure out what next step to take. But you know, at the end of the day, I just decided like I'm a lover of a lot of different kinds of music and I want to represent that through my own music. So if one day I want to release a progressive house song, I'll do it. Next day I want to do something darker like Heaven's Gates, I'll just do it. You know, like
mhm,
what I've been trying to kind of adopt like a way of thinking is I put a song out and then just forget about it. I'll move on to the next one.
mm,
Otherwise, like you're gonna get caught up with like thinking about the past and then thinking about the future, and then like you can't really focus on what's in front of you at the time.
mm,
So yeah, I have had thoughts about that, but at this point, right now, I'm just releasing whatever I want.
mm.
Do you think that that
And
also, oh, go
Yeah.
ahead, finish.
no, I'm good. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, do you think that has to do with like you also having built up, a name and some success? Because as Q said, we are an artist development platform and we see a lot of earlier stage artists, let's say, or ones that haven't broke yet. They're like, oh, progressive, house, this type of like, so then like, do you feel like for earlier stage artists, you would have similar advice or something a little different?
I would say earlier on, I if I got to do this all over again earlier on, I would stick to one genre. I just think that like you shouldn't try and confuse people if they don't even know who you are yet. You know, like people should know what to expect when you're releasing music, especially as a new artist. And then I think eventually as you grow and you see some success, that's when you can start taking more risks. And I think that's kind of what happened naturally with me. Um,
Mm.
it just like kind of happened. I never really like had like a thought about, okay, I'm gonna change genres then, etc. But sorry, one second. My girlfriend's like, what? Oh yeah. And also like I think what also allows me to explore different genres is that I've also had different artist projects too. So
Mm.
I've not always been stuck to Manila Killa.
Mhm.
I've I used to be part of Hotel Garuda
Yeah,
and
I was gonna get into that a little, I think.
yeah, yeah. And then now I have Chrome Bodies, which is with the same person from Hotel
Mhm.
Garuda, but it's just like a new outlet. Like I don't know, like I said before, like I love so many different genres, so I'm just gonna, do whatever I want, essentially.
Yeah, that was a another huge surprise because like I saw your Chrome bodies and who is this new guy? Oh shit, it's the same again. Like what?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that must feel like really special for you as it is for your fans because some of your fans might know you from your Hotel Garuda times. So I
Yeah.
was like I'm really personally curious on like how this new project Chrome Bodies came to reality.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a couple years in the making.
Mm.
I think COVID actually helped a lot with figuring out the next steps for me and Asim to work on something new. So over COVID, a lot of time at home. I was living with Asim. We shared a bathroom, so we were very
Oh.
close. So we were we were
Literally,
spe-
yeah.
yeah, literally very close. Like we were spending every day with each other, and like as COVID went on, Asim was doing his thing. I was doing my thing, but Asim was just like, "Yo, let's work on music together. Let's do a Manila Killa back-to-back Hotel Garuda tour. Like let's do everything." And at the time, I was honestly kind of getting burnt out with Manila Killa, like over COVID. I think it's
Um,
because it was a couple things. Over COVID, I was just so stressed, as you can imagine. Like I had a whole year of shows lined up, and essentially I was just jobless that whole year. Like I didn't know
Yeah.
what to do. I was freaking out. I was trying to make music as Manila Killa. That's when I started my album for that too. And like it was just so stressful for me. So Asim, yeah, brought up the idea of working on music together. I was like, yeah, but let me finish my album first. So I eventually finished Dusk, my album. And then I approached Asim and I was like, yo, okay, yeah, let's work. Like, what do we want to do? Like, so we started the conversation with like, what music do you listen to now? And at the time, I was listening to a lot of darker stuff. And I think that's part of the reason why I came out with my Heaven's Gates remix was because over COVID, I really craved the energy that came from shows.
Mm.
So I think that pointed me in a darker direction. So that was like a stepping off point for Chrome Bodies was that I told them I was like, I'm into like darker, more energetic, like just way more electronic stuff rather than like songwritery, radio friendly stuff. I really want like electronic music. And he had showed me like a couple artists and they were at like the artists that he was showing me, they were producing music at like 140, 150 BPM. And it scared the shit out of me. I was like, yo, this is like way too fast. Like, what do you, yo, chill out, you know? But then he was like, like give it a chance. Like he sent me a playlist of a lot of that kind of music, like more techno, more European dancing or European sounding music. And so it kind of grew on to me. And then we had like a couple sessions, just like sharing music with each other, like, pushing the tempo up a little more. We started working on music at like around 130 BPM, which is like, yeah, pretty standard like dance music tempo. But he was like, what if we pushed it up to 140? What if we pushed it up to 145? What if and then we eventually ended on 150, which is like what we're making a lot of music in that tempo range. And like, I don't know, it's just like it was so refreshing to me. I felt like I was kind of hitting a wall with like the Manila Killa stuff. So I just wanted to do something else. So within like a span of I think like 4 or 5 months, we had like 10 songs. And then we were like, yeah, so then we were like, okay, what do we want to put out first? And then that's when we decided to put out the Nelly Furtado Say It Right remix. And then like 2 weeks later, John Summon's playing at EDC. And I was just like, yo, what is happening right now? Like this is like so insane. Like it almost felt like I was starting my career all over again. Like the initial excitement that you get when you're first putting music out and just to like go onto your SoundCloud page and see that one song, like it's just really exciting for me. So yeah, from there on out, like we just started making a bunch of music, started sending our music to a bunch of different DJs, and then we just saw a bunch of other people play it, and I was just like, wow, this is sick. Let's just keep going with it.
It was surprising because Asim was also going through a darker route. I've seen him like really sing on like Chami's label. I love playing that song, like the Chicken Tikka Masala one.
Yeah.
People love that one. Yeah, so it's really refreshing because I know your style of music, and then his was going dark, and this is something totally new. It's like a little brighter, faster, melodic, like almost like some trancey vibe. So I'm really digging it, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I just felt like we just wanted like a change, really. Like, and we just have so much fun making that music too. Like, it's just so ridiculously cheesy that you can't help but like laugh when you're making it. And like it reminded me of like when I first started making music too. Like, it was so fun to just explore different paths of like different genres. So I'm glad that he and we were able to reconnect, and now like yeah, we're just doing the thing now.
Yeah, we're glad too. Fans are happy.
Like, inspired, which I'm sure like that kind of like being re-inspired and like reignited also serves you both individually as well, right? On top of that project.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like we're just kind of maturing at this point. And I think what I would like to present to my fans too is that I'm maturing as well, and like my sound's gonna change, and I just hope that you come along for the ride. So yeah.
I'm sure. And you mentioned about burnout during COVID, but I know you're touring a lot. I think you finished one. Have you had any burnouts or moments when it was tough during touring? and if there were, how you like to overcome that.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it was actually during the time I was touring my album Dusk.
Mm,
So we had that tour kind of booked out before things started opening up again. Or like we
mhm,
had ideas of where I wanted to play and stuff. But honestly, like I don't think anyone saw this coming, but the live music landscape changed a lot, especially when things started opening up. Like rooms that I would be able to pack out ended up just not selling well. Like for
mm.
example, like I had to cancel my Boston show due to that
Oh.
reason. Like I wasn't able to, sell enough tickets. And it's just like it was a reality check for me. It was honestly like it was really tough. Like halfway through the tour, some shows were doing really well, some shows were just doing awful.
Mm,
And that like really affected me. It did burn me out a lot. Like I felt like every time I got home from the weekend, I was just like, oh God, like I have to do another week of this. Like I have to, step out in front of like five people when I thought I would be able to pull like 100 or something like that. It was just really tough, mentally. Like it's tough to go from 1 year selling out a bunch of shows to like the next year, like not really seeing that. But what I was talking to my manager about that, we kind of realized that all this stuff is just like kind of out of our control. So the more time I like dwelled on it and the more time I beat myself up for it, that was less time for me to work on the next chapter or, work on making the show better and like stuff like that. So that's just like what I kind of realized. And getting over the burnout is just realizing that I do need to take breaks at times because I feel like I'm always thinking about music. I'm always thinking about social media, unfortunately, like all
A whole other
the
thing,
rat
huh?
wars. Yeah, yeah, it's tough, but they're like necessary evils. So I just kind of realized I need to figure out a way to manage like my I don't know, mental well-being. So it was literally like in the middle of tour where I started going to therapy. And
mm.
I just felt like I was like talking my girlfriend's ear off about, what I was stressed about that week. And like I was like talking my parents' ear off about what I was stressed out. And then like there came a time where I was just like, I need to find an outlet where I can have a back and forth where the other person isn't really biased because I love my girlfriend, I love my parents, but like they'll support me because I know them like very well, like we're family. So they're always going to support me. I know that, but I need some like real advice. I need someone to like be real with me. So I realized that going to therapy was a way for me to kind of manage my mental well-being, kind of instead of thinking of 10 million different things that are, like making me feel down, I'm able to manage like one thing at a time. And so yeah, that was kind of like the tough part about going on tour after COVID was it wasn't just me too. Like I thought it was like my music wasn't good anymore. Like I thought like, oh, I like fell
Mm,
off, but like it was honestly kind of reassuring to see other artists go through the same thing, especially artists that were like bigger than me.
Yeah.
Like I saw that Swedish House Mafia had to end up canceling like 8 or 9 shows. And so I was like, okay, maybe it's like not just me. Maybe
mm.
like I can still make good music. It's just the world is just really weird right now. So I
Mm.
had to like take a step back and just reassess what my priorities were. And I realized that that was just kind of keeping my head on straight and just focusing on like what's next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing such vulnerable points. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can be hard to share, but yeah, really appreciate your genuine
Yeah.
feedback.
Of course. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people like kind of put on like a face and they're like,
Mm.
oh no, like everything's fine. You can like you can pull through, but it's like not really like that constantly. It's a lot. It's
Never
especially
like that. Let me just say
yeah. It's never like no, it's never like that. Like,
Mm.
we're all like, constantly trying to we're all at battle with ourselves. So I think it's important for people to hear that you're not alone, essentially. Like other people are going through the same things you are. And you'd be surprised at who else is going through the same things you are too.
Yeah.
Okay. And to switch the topic, Elaine's got us some fun questions.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Yes. After that deep vulnerable share, let's get into a few fun questions that I'm sure some of the your fans and folks watching would love to know about you outside of music. So, first question is, if it was your last meal on earth, what would you eat?
Ooh, that's tough. I just thought of like four different things, but honestly, with this question, I have to go back to my roots. I'm Filipino. I love Filipino food.
Mhm.
So I think it would be pork sisig with garlic rice and a fried egg on top.
Garlic rice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You guys know what pork sisig is?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, pork face.
Okay, so do you cook? And if so, what is your dish? What is your dish?
Yes, I started like actually trying to learn how to cook in the last year. And I think my dish right now that I would love to make for anybody is gyudon, like
Oh.
Japanese gyudon.
Mhm.
So good, so simple. I feel like it's like easier to make than people realize.
Mm.
I went to Japan last year and that's when I had like real gyudon for the first time. Like proper real gyudon, and I just fell in love. So I've been trying to perfect my recipe over the last few months. So yeah, gyudon.
If you can travel to any place in the world that you have not yet been, where would you go?
Iceland.
Okay,
Mm.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks incredible. I also just want to see the Northern Lights like once.
That's some cover arts, man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Get some
That's
get
our
some
next
art.
album.
Yeah,
Okay, if
exactly.
you had one superpower, what would you choose?
Teleportation
Mm.
so that I don't have to fly
You don't have to
everywhere.
fly. That's very helpful actually for artists.
Exactly. Yeah, like flying in the beginning is like it's a lot of fun. It's like, ooh, I get to, fly across the country. But then, after doing it hundreds of times, I'm just like, oh my God.
Over it.
I'm so over it. Yeah.
What is one hobby or skill that you have that people might not know about?
Um, I throw pottery.
Oh.
That's
You?
Yeah, that's something that my girlfriend taught me. Like she started teaching me like 2 years ago. And yeah, I just started doing it and I was like okay at it. So I was like, okay, let me like try to pick this up. I love it because it's like very meditative.
Mm,
Um, I also I can't check my phone during it, which is a
that is
huge
true.
plus.
Mm.
Yeah.
Can't be about to get a new phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, pottery.
Let's see. If you had to lose one sense, which one would that be? You have to give one up.
Whoa, that's tough.
Obviously not your hearing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
obviously not.
Please don't do that.
I mean, that's already almost gone anyways. Um, one sense. Not taste either because I love food.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it would just have to be sight, really. Unfortunately.
Oh.
You wouldn't be able to see your fans like react and like vibe out to your music though.
Or yeah, but then like what else? Like
Smell?
A
what?
smell?
Smell?
Smell? Well, smell is very important when it comes to
So you
taste.
cook. That's true.
Uh,
That's true. That's gonna make
Yeah.
myself. Yeah, I get. Yeah,
Or
it's
like
a
touch the sense, I guess. Like I don't
you have
but then that'd be mad
to cook.
weird.
You have to also DJ. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
you need.
also have to do that. I would just be like running
oh,
into stuff. Like I don't
oh my God, it's funny.
I guess it would just have to be
Um,
eyesight.
okay, so obviously you have a bunch of, new fans, old fans. What words, I guess, what message do you have for them?
Ooh, wow. That's tough because like I don't want to say follow your dreams.
To be more cliche on top of the cliche.
People cliche, follow your dreams. No, damn. Honestly, like, okay, now that I've been getting older, um, really appreciate the people around you. And I don't just mean like I really mean like your family and friends. Because like as I get older, that's my support system and I'm sure everyone has some form of support system, so just make sure that you nurture that system because honestly like a reality check for me was like when I went home to see my parents I could tell that they're getting older and stuff, And so I think it's getting more important for me as I get older to really appreciate the people around me, because like I feel like that's what you're going to be thinking of, you know, like when you're really old, like before you pass. Like I think the one thing you're going to remember are the people that you love. So keep those people close to you and don't shut them out.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Before we let you go, tell us what's in store for 2024.
Yes. So I'm working on like a lot of original music. I'm also working on a lot of remixes. I used to be asked to do remixes, but now I'm just like, I'm just gonna remix whatever I want. So, so like, yeah, I'm working on a couple remixes, some of them official, some of them just gonna be dropping on SoundCloud, and then working on a lot of Chrome body stuff with my friend too. So keep on the lookout for that. And then my next big show is gonna be at Exchange LA on April 5th, which I'm super, super excited about. I realized that I had never played like a proper club show in Los Angeles. So I'm really excited for that.
Interesting. That's weird.
Yeah, I've played like venues, like I've played a bunch of venues and stuff, but I've never played like a bottle service club, which I'm like so excited for.
Yeah, the ones I remember was your in front of the shrine. It was brownie and lemonade, like
Oh
back in
yeah,
like
4th of
2019.
July. Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
4th of July. I
yeah.
went
I was
back to
there.
back with Chet. Yeah, hell yeah. I went back to back with Chet Porter. It was like outdoors. But like a proper like club show where I'm headlining is, I'm really excited
Oh, me too.
I'm sure
I'll be
Q will
there.
be there. Like, yeah, I know.
about that.
I think you will be there. Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing. Like, we're definitely very excited to see what's to come for you. And we definitely appreciate you just being so genuine and authentic. And we can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yay.